And we're live.
Hello, welcome to Sportsbook Review. I'm Nigel Seeley. We're looking ahead to the quarterfinals. It's come across so quickly, hasn't it? How the quarterfinals have approached us so far in this year's French Open. And I'm delighted to say the Dream Team are back. People have been tweeting, people have been putting messages up. They thought that the Backstreet Boys have got back together, but it's not. It's us three. It's Alex from Need for Tips. How are you, sir? How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Had a very good day with Roland Garros. Watched some incredible games, and hopefully we will see some nice movement also in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, and we have live from California the Whale Kappa. How are you? It's very windy there, so how are you?
I'm well. Thank you guys for having me back, and I'm excited about the way that this tournament is shaping up for my futures bets. But this is the home stretch here. We gotta pick some winners, guys. Let's do this.
Well, we're going to try to do that there. Now, before we go on, Alex, when you was a young lad, some sporting heroes in your life. Who Roger Federer was my hero. David Beckham is the guy I emulate. Who did you want to be, Alex? Who did you want to be?
Yeah, but that time of the when I was young, we had an amazing football team in Romania with, if you remember, Gheorghe Hagi.
Yeah.
He was the leader. I wanted to be like him. If we're talking about tennis, I was thinking Andre Agassi, Michael Chang. If you remember Michael Chang, I loved
Yep.
him as a player. From other sports, not so much. I was watching from the start football and tennis. And yeah, if we're talking about different players than the Romanian ones, I was thinking Ronaldinho nowadays. Early past, I was I don't know, Italia '90, the World Cup in Italia '90. I was watching when I was a kid, and I loved it. It was my first memory in football. Great from the song, the World Cup song in Italy 1990, that I think that is the most beautiful song till now in the World Cup. Loved the entire thing and loved the matches. But yeah, Gheorghe Hagi and let's say Andre Agassi.
Fantastic memories. Well, mine was obviously English band. Wanted to be Gary Lineker. I wanted to be Paul Gascoigne. But now, my idol, the person I want to be, is the Whale Kappa. And I am going to be the Whale Kappa. I've only met this guy once before, and he's the coolest dude in the world. So I want to be the Whale Kappa. Now, I haven't got the background drop, but for this evening, I am going to be the Whale Kappa impersonating in you and doing this show because you are now my new hero. Anyway, let's move on to the tennis, and we're going to start with the men's singles. Obviously, Nadal hasn't dropped the set there. He's through to the quarterfinals. Me and Alex are looking in good shape. He's playing Schwartzman, who's had an unbelievable 5 sets. They're coming back from 2 sets to love down. But he comes into this game. He's got a head-to-head of 5-0 to Nadal. Any upset, World Cup?
Well, I got to say, Schwartzman impressed the hell out of me today. He was basically facing elimination. A point away from match points, down 0-2 to Kevin Anderson, and then to claw his way back and win that in 5 was unbelievably impressive. I thought his form was good enough to win 3-0 or 3-1 today. So the fact that he dropped those first 2 sets in such uninspiring fashion has me a little concerned that he's going to put up any kind of a threat against Nadal. We've seen Nadal start slow in a lot of these matches, I would say, and he's kind of a slow starter in general. He kind of warms into his game a little bit, and then by sets 2 and 3, he's usually just untouchable. And so I guess I would give Schwartzman a puncher's chance early on if he can get his game up and be a threatening force in the first set. We saw him take a set off of Nadal at the Australian Open. And granted, Nadal was a little beaten up after playing through the fall and playing so much tennis, and his knee was buggered, and we saw he got hurt the next match against Cilic. But Schwartzman's taken a set off him, and he got straight setted in the Australian Open. So basically, yeah, he's lost 5 times, and only 1 time he's been able to take a set. So not a lot of good feelings really about how he'll be able to fight here. But hopefully, just looking at the money line is so large. I haven't seen the handicaps pop yet, but hopefully there's an opportunity to get him in either the first set handicap or or the total games handicap maybe. Because I got to ask you guys, Do you think that Nadal is as sharp this year as he looked last year? I mean, would 2017 Nadal have beaten this year's Nadal pretty easily, you think?
I
Not
think
easily,
so.
not easily, but he would beat. The 2017 Nadal was much stronger than 2018.
But I
Yeah,
think the
I
competition.
completely agree.
I think the competition this year isn't at its peak. Anyway, I'm trying to look really cool, but I'm going to hold my hands up here, right? At my age, I can't read my notes with these glasses on. So I'm gonna have to admit I can't see to me. So anyway,
You still look
cannot.
sharp. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you still look sharp.
I need my reading glasses, World
You
Cup.
just
Where's my reading glasses? Where's my
you just
reading glasses?
you just realize you cannot be well capper once and for all.
You just look sharp. You still look sharp.
But I still could be Paul Gascoigne. I still could be David Beckham, but I can't be World Cup. Anyway, Nadal 5-0. Listen, Alex, we've spoken about Nadal. We said that he's going to be fantastic. He's going to win this game. We said it was free money. I predicted he wouldn't lose a set. He's looking good at the moment. It's going to be a routine win, isn't it?
Yeah, he's perfect, and he is very lucky to play against Schwartzman right now. He was very lucky to play against Merterer last round. He gets luckier and luckier. I think that Thiem and Zverev, when one of them will meet him, they will be very very tired because they are playing long matches. Most of all, Alexander Zverev, he played 5-setter matches in all three 5-setters. In all three of them, he came back from winning the last 2 sets and going further in the next round. I'm expecting another match, also long match against Dominic Thiem. But I think that Nadal shouldn't have problem in dropping a set this year. Not dropping a set.
Yeah, Nadal 5-0 in head-to-heads. There's been 13 sets in the games that these two played in 5 games. 12-1 in Nadal. Schwartzman must be absolutely exhausted after that game. We both all think, as all of us agree, that Nadal's going to win in pretty straight sets, but we're not really putting it out as one of our bets because it's pretty an obvious play. Let's move on to Del Potro with Cilic. We spoke about this off air before we went live. Del Potro has a commanding head-to-head record, 10-2. Cilic's on the back of a fantastic 5-set game. And I know, Alex, you were saying it's the best game of the tournament, and it's the one that you predicted and you bet on. I actually bet Fognini in running, thought he might come back. It wasn't to be. But what shape is Cilic going to be in against Del Potro, who's claimed he's injured, he's not fit? What do you think of this game?
It's funny. We were talking before we went live. World Cupper was saying about Del Potro injury, how well he's playing right now. What is wrong with these kind of players? One, they are injured. One, they are playing at the best level. Today, he was absolutely incredible against Isner, a great server. I think that Cilic will be very tired after this game from today. More than 3 hours and a half against Fabio Fognini. I think that Fabio Fognini is one of the most talented clay court players in the entire tour. I think that 1.7 for Del Potro. Hopefully, he's fit at the same level of fitness as he was today and the entire tournament.
So 1.7 is a bet for Alex for need for tips. Wild Kepper, do you agree with that? 1.7?
Yeah,
1.7
yeah, I do. I think Del Potro does get through here. If you want to try to reduce the juice on that a little bit, you could probably parlay that with Nadal 3-0 and probably get plus money play. Maybe like plus that might work out to about 210, something like that. If you're in the UK, if you're betting with those prices, but I agree that that the head-to-head 10-2 over the career, that's enough to throw some mental shade on what will, on top of the fact that the disparity here between how much effort they've expended to this point is pretty obvious. And if you look through their heads-to-heads, and I would say most of them were back in a time pre-Delpo going through his wrist surgery. So that was kind of, these players were in their younger years, and they, even then Delpo owned him. I would look maybe at the 2016 head-to-head at the Davis Cup as a pretty decent indicator for what to expect in this match. Actually, this was, of course, this might have been the deciding match that gave Argentina the Davis Cup in 2016. But they played an epic 5-setter. Delpo won 3-2. Cilic ended up taking the first 2 sets, and then Delpo roared back to win 3 straight. That was a very exciting match and memorable, and I would expect something of similar variety where you can look for over sets and over games here and just kind of enjoy what should be a pretty good contest.
So Del Potro, Virginia, I just got a feeling Del Potro will get through and he'll play Nadal and he'll get beat 6-2 in the first set against Nadal and pull out injured. And Nadal will have an easy route through to the final. That's what happened. I think Del Potro will play Cilic. It'll be a 5-set epic. It'll be 11-9 in the fifth. Nadal will win 6-love, 6-1, 6-2. And he'll be sitting there. Del Potro play 1 set in the semi-final and they'll say, and Nadal gets an easy route through.
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it. Yeah.
If we were on Wimbledon, you would say 70-68, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what? I tell you a true story. I tell you a very true story. I remember the game against Isla Mahut, and I was working in a spread betting company at the time. True story. And the games were to buy at 41.5, and I was really betting very big at the time, very big. And I thought there's no downside of betting these games at 41.5. And I rang up the firm in question. It was a spread betting firm. And I wanted to buy £200 a game at 41.5. So if there was 50 games, I would win 8.5 times my 200 quid. That was what I wanted to buy, right? And they called me up a half. They knew I was a buyer, so they read me. And they called me up. Instead of 42.5 or 41.5, they called me 42 or 43. And I got so offended that they called me up a half, I said, no bet. And it was the worst mistake I ever made. I could have made like 15 grand or something like that. It was just like...
Easily.
And I'm living with it now. Anyway, enough about... I could do a whole show about my losses and near misses. I could have been a millionaire, Alex. I could have been. But now I want to be...
Well capper.
The whale capper. Anyway, let's move on. Djokovic against Cecchinato. Now, Alex, I know you don't like my pronunciation. How do you pronounce this? Cecchinato.
Cecchinato.
Okay. Djokovic against Cecchinato. Djokovic, very, very short price favourite, 1.06. Cecchinato, 7.589 but on the exchanges. Been a surprise pack of the tournament. Beat Goffin and beat Buster as well, the guy that we expected to do quite well. Nothing to lose. How do you see this from Whale Kappa?
Nothing to lose. Exactly. I mean, I didn't fancy him giving Goffin much of a fight. The reason I was kind of there was I looked at his past success against top 10 players, and he was 0 for 3 and had just been beaten by Goffin. I was like, you know what? This is a good story. Good job making it this far, but you know this is it for you. And sure enough, he played an amazing match of tennis against Goffin. Easily the better player that day. I think he probably represents more of a threat to Djokovic than the bookmakers are giving him credit for. I love his return game has looked extremely sharp. He won a title. Did you guys remember? He won the Istanbul title this year.
Yes.
So he's playing with a little bit of confidence. He's won a title more recently than Djokovic has won a title.
Me and Alex were there. We were there. Me and Alex were there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we were there. Nice. We were there drinking the Effis. We were drinking the Effis.
Yeah. So it's
one of the best.
Yeah, we were drinking Effis.
He's having a damn impressive spring of 2018, I got to say. And if he takes a set off of Djokovic here, it wouldn't really surprise me. So I'm probably going to back over 3.5 sets here and look for Djokovic to get him 3-1 or 3-2.
So over 3.5 sets. I quite like that. And you know what? I think this is a good in-running play because I think Djokovic hasn't been tested. He was brilliant against Verdasco. It was a tie Verdasco going into that game. Long rallies. His body sort of broke down a bit. And I think the longer this game goes, if it goes into 5th set, I think Djokovic is vulnerable. So I like your angle there. Alex, do you agree with us or not?
I think that Marco Cecchinato is the let's say the living proof that you have to play for your matches to win money and not to match fixing or illegal betting. You have to play for your money. He was suspended, if you guys remember, 18 months for illegal betting in 2015, and he appealed on the Olympic Committee in Italy, and they put him back on track. I think that he's an interesting player. He can take a set from Nadal. I will skip this match. I was thinking 3-0 from Djokovic. Sorry, I was thinking 3-0 for Djokovic, but I will totally skip this match. I don't have a clue what to bet on this one.
Well, I think World Cup was Stevie Wonder concert. Listen to For Once in My Life. Anyway, we got
Sorry,
the biggest game. That's all right. No, right. I love a bit of Stevie. I prefer superstitious, so I prefer a bit of Sir Duke. But if you want to play that one, that's no problem. If you want me to sing along, it's no problem as well. Let's go to the final game of the quarterfinals, and this is the best game of the match. This is the one that everyone expects to be the final. Nadal against the winner of this game. Dominic Thiem against Zverev. Now, at the beginning of the tournament, if you price this up, Zverev would have been probably an odds-on favourite. Now Thiem is the favourite, and out of the two, he's been the most impressive. But I know, well, Kappa, you said that the amount of match points he's saved and come through these games. I disagree with that quote, and I still disagree with that quote. Do you think that he can produce the goods here, or do you think he's exhausted?
I don't think he's exhausted. He's 20. He's 21. He's gotten a day off. He's played 5 sets, but the temperatures
three times though. 3 times.
Yeah, he's getting a day off in between. I don't think that exhaustion is really what would worry me about backing Zverev. I'd be much more worried about what condition his feet are in. I've heard some pretty terrible things about the condition of the blisters on his left foot. We saw this happen with Chung at the Australian Open, where he was playing out of his mind tennis. He beat Nole, he beat Zverev, and then he pulled out in the first set against Federer. We never got to see that match because of how bad the blisters were on his foot. So I'm a little hesitant to get involved on his side here, just out of that angle. But Thiem, he's got some nerves, man. I was pretty concerned about him closing the door on Nishikori in the 4th set. He looked like he was, willing to give it back at any second. His service game has not been nearly as powerful as we've seen from him in years past. I'm not sure if he's still recovering a little bit from the injury he sustained back at Indian Wells. But this should be a kind of a, whoever can get past the mental hurdles and the physical disabilities at this point and make it through, because it's going to be a battle. Zverev, they've played each other 6 times. They're good friends. Thiem has a 4-2 advantage over Zverev in that time. I think Zverev, 6 is the most anyone's ever played against him. So this is kind of like the most familiar matchup he's had. They've all been relatively competitive, relatively long matches. So I would expect a good one here. And at this point, I would lean Zverev slightly based on the mental makeup of Thiem. But I'm going to be looking very closely for reports about how his foot is doing, how his injuries are, how he looks in practice tomorrow, and those sort of things.
Alex, I mean, it's 4-2 to Thiem in the head-to-heads. They played 4 times in those 6 matches on clay, 3-1 to Thiem. And coming through all these battles and these 5-set matches. I tell you what, though, I mean, this is music to Rafael Nadal's ears, all these blisters and these stories about injuries and another long game here. How do you see this one going, Alex? What do you think? It's just a very tough one, isn't it?
I expect another long match, another 5-setter, maybe. A little bit. Zverev won against Thiem in Madrid in the final 2-0. I think that he has a plus in this match, despite the fact that he played 3 5-setter matches in this tournament. But I don't want to say who will win. I really don't know. This is why I'm going over 38.5 games at 1.75.
Well, yeah, I mean that looks a decent play about is Zverev just come through so many games, and I just think this matchup here just tailor-made for our Nadal bet. I think Nadal to win without dropping a set. I mean, these two go through a 5-set game, 5 hours in tennis. Nadal's just clapping his hands. So just before we move off the men's singles, well, Kappa, what's your best couple of bets on the quarterfinals for the men?
My favorite is probably, I'm going to look for Del Po moneyline parlayed with Nadal 3-0. I think that's going to get you just over $2 in price, and I expect Del Po Cilic to go over, Del Po getting through, and Nadal covering 3-0. For the matches tomorrow, Cecchinato to win a set over 3.5 sets in that match is maybe my favorite look on the card tomorrow, and I'm probably going to back Zverev on the money line, even though there's a lot of question marks about his health.
Now, Alex, and what are your picks in this, the men's singles?
Del Potro at 1.7 and Thiem versus Zverev over 38.5 at 1.75.
Okay, so you heard it there for the men's singles. Let's move on to the women's. Now, we're going to start off with a game. The woman who we cannot even mention on this show is playing Angelica Kerber. We can't mention it. We're not allowed to mention her. But Simona Halep, as Alex said, he'll never mention her again. As she was winning the game, he was tweeting me going, "Oh, she's looking good. She's looking good." I said, "Alex, I could copy and paste this tweet and send it back to you every single time. She's always looking good in the semi-finals and the quarterfinals. You're always looking good in the last 16. And I could copy and tweet for next Grand Slam, the next Grand Slam. She's up against Angelica Kerber, who produced a fantastic performance against Caroline Garcia today. A girl that's been written off. I haven't written her off. I think this is a big marker for Wimbledon for Kerber. They've never met on clay before, but they did meet in the 2018 Australian Open, and Kerber won a titanic match 9-7. Alex, you can talk about this game, but you can't mention one player. So over to you.
Uh, yeah, difficult. Yeah, Kerber is not totally fit. He's not totally 100%. She's not a clay court player, and I think that she's going with a second chance. I'm not talking about her opponent at all.
So it's the girl with no name for Alex. Well, Cap, you can talk about whoever you want here. The floor is open to you.
I'm sticking with Halep to be to still be deserving of the tournament favorite. The fact that she's kind of still finding her best game is very exciting for those of us holding Halep 6-1 tickets. I'm a little nervous about her potentially playing Muguruza in the semifinals, but I think she gets by Kerber, and I think she does it in style.
So it's a Halep win for World Kappa, and it's the girl with no name for Alex. We're going to the second game. You mentioned Muguruza there. You've already given her a bye through to the semi-finals. You're up against Maria Sharapova, a girl who's obviously come through against Serena Williams today. We'll talk about this. Before we talk about this game, let's talk about Serena Williams. She played in the doubles last night. She said she couldn't serve. She's come out today and she said, she couldn't serve and she felt it was the right thing to do. What's your opinion of that? We'll start with you, World Kappa.
Well, I'm disappointed because I really was looking forward to that match, obviously, as most of tennis fans were. And I thought she was going to get by Sharapova and maybe take some damage, and then we would get a really great price on Muguruza in the quarterfinals. That was not to be. And I don't think she was faking an injury by any stretch of the imagination. If you watch her serve speed kind of through the doubles match she played yesterday, it really, really took a huge dip. And clearly something, you take enough time off and then you come back without, really being in match form. This is what kind of happens to you as you get a week into playing tennis. And I think she probably could have given it a try, but didn't really want to put her head-to-head record and on the table and give Sharapova an opportunity to beat her outright and have some sort of mental advantage, because I expect Serena expects to see Sharapova either at Wimbledon or at the U.S. Open or both.
Alex, can I ask you this question? Sharapova, Serena Williams, if she was playing any other opponent, Sharapova, would she turned up on court today?
It's tough to say. Sharapova wrote in her book that that time she won against Serena Williams at Wimbledon. Serena was very nervous. She told some friends that this little bitch will never beat me again and stuff like that. And she wrote exactly like that in her book, Now Serena, before the match yesterday, she declared that Sharapova is much fitter than her because she's 1 year in the tour. She just came after her pregnancy, just played a couple of matches. And I think that it was difficult anyway for her, even if she was fully fit. I don't want to say that she faked this, because if she faked, she had to fake also the yesterday match, the double match with the Venus, when her serve was not at the same potential. So I think that she had some problems, but she could play against another player out of top 10, let's say. She could beat anyone, also with a back injury, let's say. But before we go further, a question for you from one of our viewers, Gambler John. asked what was Nigel's best bets on the men's quarterfinals.
Me, I think it's a very tricky card, personally. I really do. The Thiem Zverev game, I've got really no thought. I quite fancy Thiem. I think if you've come down and watched the two players in action, I think Thiem is probably the better player. But at 1.62, it's an overreaction to the price. I mean, if we started off the tournament, it'd be 1.62 Zverev. So I'm difficult at that. I think the Djokovic game is a very interesting one in running. I believe if it goes long, I think Djokovic is vulnerable. I think if Djokovic wins the first 2 sets, he's going to steamroll it. But if it goes 1 set all, I'd be a layer of Djokovic. I want to play that game in running. I'm not going to play that game as a match. Del Potro, Cilic, really, I mean, I've got to fancy Del Potro, but with not really any confidence. And Nadal, I'm just hoping for a free set to keep our dreams alive and Nadal winning 3-0. So really, the men's quarterfinals doesn't really inspire me with huge amounts of bets. But I do think Djokovic one is the one. I think Djokovic is vulnerable, and I think he's worth taking on at a price. And I think if you lay him at 1.06, 1.07, which is the price he is, I think at one stage in the game he's going to trade a lot bigger. And as a trader, you can be able to get in and get out and hedge your position and have a virtually a win-win on both players. So that would be my advice. But at this present time, I don't really have really many strong views in it. And I said to you earlier yesterday, Alex. My views are in the second round, where I see people who are at 2.1, 2.2, who I think should be 1.7. When it gets to this kind of stage, how wrong can you be, Cilic v Del Potro? I mean, how wrong can you be, Federer v Nadal? You know, if they play, not talking about this tournament, how wrong can you be, Nadal against, these are the top players in the world, and it's easier to price up. So my value is in the first and second rounds, and I find it hard in the latter stages.
Yeah.
I think that was a really good breakdown.
So let's have a look at this game. Let's have a look at the game. We've obviously spoken about Sharapova. I think World Cup has already said that Sharapova is going through, but like I say, she's 3-0. Sorry,
Muguruza's I think the bookmakers made a mistake hanging this line where they did. I think Muguruza needed to be more well respected here.
Yeah, but 2-0 in head-to-heads to Sharapova, 3-0 in head-to-heads and 2-0 on clay.
You're talking about 2014 Muguruza, though. This is a different player.
Well, she's injured as well, though. She hasn't come back much. She hasn't played much tennis. Alex, we heard Wild Cappers view. What do you think on this one?
I'm going with Sharapova. I don't know. I think that she's very well prepared mentally. From the mental point of view, they are on the same. They are both very aggressive players. Also Muguruza, also Sharapova. They have the same style. They are trying to find the lines. They are good servers. They hit good the forehand. But I think that Sharapova is better prepared mentally right now. Both of them, as we said, are not tired at all because today they didn't play. Serena forfeited. Also, Alicia Tsurenko, after 2 games in the match, got injured against Muguruza. So I think that it will be an interesting match. But I have Sharapova at 2.1. This is what I'm going for in this match.
Well, one has gone for Sharapova, one has gone for Muguruza. So I'm not one to sit on the fence at all. So I'm going to go for the draw. Anyway, let's move on to the third game, Madison Keys. Now, Alex, I need your help on it. Alex, I need your help. Who's Madison Keys playing?
Madison Keys is playing with wait.
Tell me the name. Go on, Alex. Over to you.
Yulia Putintseva.
That's it.
Poots.
That's
Yulia
Putintseva. She's playing Poots. It's like the old
Yulia Putintseva.
It's like Matt Kuchar in the golf. Poots. Anyway, well, Poots leads 1-0 in the head-to-heads. She's 3.75 to win the game of the bookies. 1.33 Madison Keys. They've only ever met once before, and it was a 31-game epic. So what's going to happen here? Well, let's start with you, Alex.
I don't have a play. I think that Madison Keys will go through, but I don't have a play. Very short, the odds for me at 1.33.
No play for Alex. Wild Kappa?
Keys for me, too. I think she gets through in straights.
Well, that's quick. I'm thinking play. Listen, boys, listen. Natalie has rung me up, right, and asked me to do the show. And she's asked, listen, honestly, she said to me, I asked her how much I'm going to get paid for it, and she said she said you can get paid by the minute. So please, carry on.
Okay, here's some more thoughts on this.
Keep going.
Keys is so under the radar in this tournament. They've given her. There were days where she wasn't even invited to like do a press after a win, and she's a top player on tour right now. But her season has been relatively quiet. She's not particularly strong on clay, but here she is in this tournament, just racking up wins. She's got a benefit of a phenomenal draw. The whole third quarter is opened up wide open for her, and I think she puts away Putintseva. I think she puts away Poots, and we get a rematch. We get a rematch of the U.S. Open final with Keys versus Sloane.
Well, Kappa, you just added 45 seconds, which means I've earned another 4.5 pegs. So well done, well done, mate. Anyway,
you owe him a beer.
I need every penny I got. I need every penny I can. So let's
put that on. Put that on Cecchinato in the fifth set.
Well, in running, this will be in running punting going on. We're going on to the final game now. Hang on, this one I think is going to split opinion. Now we've got Sloane Stephens, Whale Kappa in the blue corner. And in the red corner, the Romanian Rocket is going to go for, pronounce the name again, Alex, I know you don't like you mispronouncing his name.
Daria Kasatkina.
Kasatkina, there you go. So I'm going to call her Kaz. So we've got Kaz against Sloane in the ones quarter. Now, I reckon we're going to have a difference of opinion here. So we're going to start off with you, World Kappa. Make the case for Sloane Stephens.
Okay, Sloane. She's beaten her and they're only head-to-head on clay. Although she has lost to her this year at Indian Wells, relatively slow surface. Sloane wasn't playing particularly well at that time of the season. She didn't really kind of blossom in 2018 until Miami. But Sloane got her in Charleston on clay, where we've seen Kasatkina play very well through the years. So that is an interesting indicator there. I think really this match boils down to, can Sloane get her first serve in play? Her second serve has been very, very vulnerable all season, and we've kind of seen when when her first serve percentage is dropped, she gets broken relatively easily. So if she's having one of those days where she can't find her first serve, then I'm going to be extremely concerned about my Sloane Stephens future and my almost certainly Sloane Stephens to advance bet in this match. That said, I think the bookmakers put up a pretty fair price. I think Kasatkina should be a very small favorite to evens. But I just love the way that she's playing right now, and I really do think that she's going all the way to the finals.
So, Sloane Stephens, she's upset. She's cost me more money in the last two games. I've put opponents in the last two games, and that's why I want to be the World Kappa, because of Sloane Stephens. I want to go around World Kappa's house, and I want to get in a jacuzzi, and I want Sloane Stephens in it, we, Whale Kappa, and Cindy Crawford, and I'll be happy man. Anyway, Alex, what we got? What make the case for Kasatkina?
First of all, we are trying to read also some comments. Well, Kapper, underdog is saying good call on Sloane this weekend. But we salute also all our viewers, Young Von, Taylor Ford, Tomorino, of course, our very good friend Shane, who are here for us in almost every video. And yes, for Kasatkina, I loved her against Wozniacki. I said that Wozniacki would be favorite to win this tournament. Daria Kasatkina showed that I was totally wrong. She destroyed Wozniacki. Every ball entered for Daria Kasatkina. Wozniacki's defense was destroyed by a great attack from Daria Kasatkina. She is not the best server on tour, but she is one of the greatest returns from service. So that puts in balance with what Well Kapper said about the first service of Sloane Stephens. I think that even if she will have a good percentage on her first serve, let's say 65%, 70%, Daria Kasatkina will be very determined to show what she is capable of, to show that winning the Roland Garros on juniors, when she did it, it wasn't a surprise. She can do it again also on the WTA tour. So I think that the value is on her, 1.92 for Daria Kasatkina to advance in the semifinals.
Well, one has gone for Cecchinato, one has gone for Stevens. You know what I'm going for? The draw. Anyway, let's just recap.
You're gonna do the draw. You're gonna do the draw double with Stevens and Muguruza.
Yeah, you will be a millionaire. You will be a millionaire.
Going for the draw. All the draws. Anyway, Alex, let's just recap just give me your tips on the women's matches.
Yeah, only two I have. I'm not talking about Simona Halep. I think that Maria Sharapova will beat Muguruza and Daria Kasatkina to beat Sloane Stephens.
And I think there's an opposite opinion over in the blue corner from Wildcat.
Yeah. Two different ways.
I like Gabarinier 6-2, 6-2. Just a domination here. I'm going to be on her 2-0. I'm going to be on her on the money line and also probably in the
Which one?
handicap. Muguruza, Gabarinier.
Garbine.
You've got to be very listen. Well, Cabell, we've got to be very careful. He even pronounces my name better than I do. So you've got to be very, very. This is the man of pronunciation. He's very, very strict on that. Very, very strict. So there you go.
Garbine Muguruza, 6-2,
6-2. Unbelievable. Well, there you go. The two boys are going for completely different bets, and I'm going to go for my bet's going to be the draw in both games, as I've said to you along. Now, if you want to follow these lads' tips all the way through the French Open, at the quarterfinal stage, semi-final French Open. We'll be back again on Wednesday, Alex.
On Wednesday, and we have also a special guest at that time, our friend Thiem from Canada, which has some mega bombs, 25 units. He lost 2 or 3 bankrolls till now, but he's coming.
Well, if you're watching this show, Thiem, and you're watching this show, anyone at SBR, we need to get a little bit of whip round for Thiem to pay the electric bill to get him on the show. We need $1 each. If we can put it all in, he'll be on the show on Friday because his tips has been gone. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Thiem. It'd be great to see you. But I'm only joking anyway. But listen, if you want to follow Alex's tips throughout the French Open and throughout this come up for the World Cup as well, you can follow him at at Need for Tips, and Whale Kappa is at Whale_Kappa. So it's Alex's Twitter handle is at Need for Tips and at Whale_Kappa. I've been Nigel Seeley. This has been Sportsbook Review. And listen, boys, I think we've got an idea. I've got an idea. I think we should all go off round Whale Kappa's house. And because we're tennis players, I think we should form a Backstreet Boys tribute act and call it the Backhand Boys. What do you reckon? Let's talk.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Get Typhon on, and we've got a band. The 4 of us. We're touring near you. Yes. See you soon.
I love it.
See you. Thank you. Thank you for watching, guys.